对呀，挺奇怪吧？没事，我放这个，帮我放这个。怕待会儿有人就是过来更不住，我这儿。这节课是不是讲评课啊？对。咱要不往过挪点，待会儿迟早得往过挪。凳子不够啊，这。
这里打不打？还不打呢。
咱们往过冲一个，这不是你两个腕儿，待会儿别人，这个你们两个别人不会再往这上。包放过来。有这个。对，你要不也在这个课吗？
嗯。
那也没来啊。
是
吧？奇怪了吧？上中午也没来。反正想着做就有人做了。
这他妈巧吧？
比之前人明显少了很多，是吧？
不知道是不来了。
之前做的毛毛虫。
是啊。
但不可能啊！你这选课已经过来了，不能说现在还选是吧？
So today we'll talk about the coursework mainly, and hopefully we'll have time in the second hour to talk about a bit more about options in general. But yeah, first hour will be the coursework. So I think all of you should now have some sort of grouping, I think, for the coursework. There's one team who still only has 2 people in it, and I hope the rest of you will have their groups established. If not, talk to me afterwards. There's also still some people that need to put their group to the Google Form. I think there's a couple of groups missing that haven't let me know yet. So please do that today, so that I know how many seats we have, things like that. Okay? So today it's also a question and answer. If you already had a chance to look at the specifications online, so if you look at the website, there's there's also a link to the website which has the original ad exchange competition. So what is this? Maybe I should give you a little bit of background. So what is it all about? So the IntelligentAgent system community for a long time has run certain competitions. So it's not just producing classroom, but actually it's to stimulate research. So a lot of the research, I don't know if any of you are involved in the research, looked at the papers, a lot of it is very, very theoretical. Right? Also the work in game theory tries to maybe explain, understand logistic systems. So a lot of it is theory, and a lot of people were wondering, so what technique can we actually apply in different settings? But it's quite difficult to go out, talk to companies saying, okay, we want to apply this more basic system without them having much confidence in your technique. So what's developed over the years within the community is various competitions where people can actually try out different modeling system techniques and see how they work kind of in practice. Maybe not completely deployed in the real world, but at least it's much more practical than the theoretical work that was dominating before. So the ad exchange game is one of those competitions. It's actually the latest of the competition. So we used to run, in this class, we used to run the classic game, the Tech Classic, but that one is now something like 15 years old. So last year I decided it's time to change, also because of feedback we gave on the feedback form at the end. Most people didn't like the Tech Classic anymore. So hence, for this second year in a row, we're now doing this game, the trading agent competition. It's slightly more challenging, but there is a lot of help along the way. So there's a lot of things you can use and borrow from. So you don't start completely from scratch. Okay, so what is the ad exchange game, in a sense? Well, last week I talked to you about what the ad exchange, what it is all about. So let me just give you a little bit of an overview here. So this is also what the ad exchange game is about. So we have various players in the marketplace. So we've got websites, users coming, visiting the website. Users have certain profiles. So they might be male, female, certain age group. Well, how do websites, or more specifically, how does the ad exchange know whether you're male or female? So you go to a website, and all these advertisers know a lot about you, right? So they can guess, more or less. They don't know for sure, but they can guess. Well, that's because you've been tracked online with cookies and other technology. So web advertisers will track you online. And will combine information from various websites, and from that they use machine learning or other techniques to derive profiles. Okay, so nowadays advertisers have a pretty good idea of who's visiting the website, even though you might not realize it. Okay, so that's kind of what the game is trying to simulate as well. So it's all the simulation, right? So there's a server behind the scene that's simulating all these users coming to some sort of artificial website. There's no real website, it's all kind of in a simulated environment. So it's very, in a way, it's very abstract, but this is what's happening. So the users of a certain type, so a certain age group, certain gender, certain interest, will visit the website, and the website will also have a certain interest in itself. Then each of these websites might have one or more slots that they want to put ads on. So they go to the ad exchange and say, okay, look, I've got these users, find me some ads, so that the website can make some money. So the ad exchange is kind of acts as a mediator between the website and what's called the ad network. So the ad network also intermediaries themselves. They kind of bid in the auction. So as soon as the user comes and visits the website, an auction is triggered. The ad networks will compete against each other to bid in the auction to get that user. Okay, so they all want to show their ad, or maybe they don't all want to show, but some of them might want to show an ad to that particular user, and so they compete in this auction, which is a second prize auction. Okay. And then there's the advertisers. So the advertisers here are ad agencies that are running certain campaigns. So they want to attract certain users over time, and that the campaign can be several days long. And so then, and the ad exchange, or the ad network, will have to attract these advertisers. Okay. So there's a few kind of artificial components as well as things that are very realistic. So the ad exchange is realistic and it's kind of works as you would expect. So the ad exchange here works as you expect. So it has a second price option. It's pretty realistic. There's a few things that are slightly artificial, but they have something that is realistic as well. well. So this is the user classification service. So the user classification service is something that gives the ad network additional information about the users. So as I said, the ad exchange normally has already some information about users, but there's other companies that provide more information, more specific information about users. So they've been tracking users for a longer time perhaps, and they're providing offline and online knowledge of the users. So this classification service gives to the ad network more accurate information about the users. So the ad network can better, with that information, can better target those users, so know how much to bid in those auctions. Okay, so how much is the user worth to an ad network, right? So that depends on the type of user, right? So if it's a very, if the user is likely, say, to click on the ad, or likely to make a purchase, then that user is much more valuable to the ad network. So the ad network, because of what they've contracted with the advertising, have a certain target audience they want to reach. Okay, so the user classification service gives the ad network more information about the users, but they have to pay for that. And so there's the second option where the ad networks are bidding to get information about the users. Okay, so this is slightly artificial. And then there's a third option, and that's here. So at some point, a new advertiser comes along and says, well, I have this campaign, I want to pay you to put some, buy some advertising space on my behalf. And so the ad networks need to attract these advertisers. So, and that's through what's called a reverse auction. Okay. So reverse second price auction. Almost. So it's a little bit complicated. Okay, so all these details are given in the specifications, which you should read quite carefully, and then I can also ask a question about that as well. So at any point in time, if you have questions, let me know. Okay, so just to kind of summarize, so here, so the goals of the ad network. So each participant in the game is essentially an ad network. So an agent here is an ad network competing with against other ad networks, or against other agents in the game. So the goal of these ad networks is first of all to win these advertising campaigns. So they have these advertising campaigns. Actually, there's going to be one per day, and a day lasts about a few minutes. I think so. It's a simulated environment. Every day lasts maybe 3 minutes less than 3 minutes. So the goal for the ad networks is to win these campaign contracts. And these campaign contracts, once they mean that they have a certain budget to buy advertising space on behalf of the advertiser. Okay, but the idea is they have this contract also means that you need to satisfy certain targets. So a reach is the number of impressions. So an impression is whenever a user arrives at the website, okay, that generates an impression at that point in time, and that triggers this option at the exchange. So the reach says, okay, the number of impressions that that's in the contract. So maybe 5,000 impressions, meaning that the ad needs to be shown to 5,000 users. Okay. So there could be a certain duration. For example, the contract can last 4 or 5 days. So that reach needs to be achieved within those 4 or 5 days. Okay. So every day, so this is a simulated day, once again, a number of users visit a number of websites. So you'll have the opportunity to target many users in a single day. So that's why actually usually it is, like in reality, thousands of users every day that come to this ad exchange. In reality, it might even be millions. So it's not that difficult to say reach a few thousand users per day. Okay. But it's not just any users that should be targeted. There is a certain target audience that networks need to target. Okay. So there's a certain target audience, meaning certain age group or certain type of what we'll look at the target audience later on, the variables there. Okay. So once okay, so once you have contracts, then you have to satisfy those contracts. So there's another option, as I said, so which is the user classification option. So if you win one of those options, then you get a certain accuracy, meaning that once the user comes into the website, you can you know what target audience they are, or maybe you don't know. And then once you have those two factors here, so you have this user classification service that you bought, you have a certain number of campaigns in your portfolio, so you can have multiple campaigns running at the same time. Then the final thing is to then kind of bid in this average here. So there's a lot of details for each of these components. I'm not going to go into all every single detail because it's just too much to cover. All the details are provided in the spec. Yes.
So what happens if you win an advertising campaign contract, but you don't win the classification service contract? Do you still go with the campaign, or how? Do you have to win both, or?
Yes, then you're screwed. No. So there is a problem. So if you don't meet the contract, so if you don't have the user classification service, it means that you're less likely to meet the requirements of the contract.
And how come the classification service is kind of static data? How can you have to bid on it as not fixed price?
As I said, it's slightly artificial.
Okay.
Yeah. So that aspect of it. I think it's because even though yes, it's data that you could say tells a number of people the same data, but there's a bit of competition. So if the data is more exclusive, the data is more valuable. That's how I can say. But yeah, that's the slightly artificial.
Yeah. Sounds like as you get better, you get better. So because you're better, you have the ability to hardball bidding. And you get more likely to get classification service. That makes you better at bidding. So it's
Well, it's not necessarily because you are allowed to make a loss. You can go into negative profit if you want. So you shouldn't do that for too long, I guess. So these are independent options. So yes. So every day the campaign but it is true. There's a factor of that. Okay. So yes, as you get better, you do get better. Why? That's because of the quality. So there's an important factor, which is called the quality, which is kind of your reputation of how well you've done in the past in satisfying these contracts. Okay. So if you did very poorly, your quality goes down. So if you didn't satisfy the contract, so you didn't attract enough impressions of the right target audience, then your quality goes down, and next time you'll have more difficulty winning the contract. Okay? And it doesn't affect the user classification service in that sense, but it does affect the option here. So the option here, it's an interesting one. It's not completely second price, actually. It also takes into consideration the quality as well, so your current quality. And so if you have a high quality, then actually you can win the auction by bidding a lower price, or actually higher price. I should go into detail into these reverse auctions in a second, because that's an important one. But yeah, so the quality, just remember that. So every time if you don't satisfy the contract, your quality goes down, and so you'll have more difficulty later on to get more campaigns. And at some point, if your quality is very low, then there's almost no use to give anymore. So yes, in that sense, you're right. So if it goes bad, then it will go.
kind of unstable, and either way you just kind of fall into being green crap again.
Yeah, not necessarily. It can change over time. So it's not like once you reach a certain point of no return. So there's not that. It also depends on how other people did. So yeah, there were some last year some people had some very lean strategies where they were bidding very high in the impression option. So no one else was able to bid, right? So everyone else's quality was going low, right? And then they started taking advantage of that after. So they incurred a loss to begin with. So you have to kind of anticipate these kind of strategies and guard yourself against. Okay? So yeah, so we can talk about that more later. Okay, so these slides are not mine, they're not great. Just changed them one day, but so these are the ones that the competition organizers actually made. So this is the bidding for the impressions. So the impressions that the ad exchange did here. So the ad network bid for the impressions. Now, in reality, when we look at the real exchange, it's real-time bidding, meaning you bid for every single impression. So every millisecond or every microsecond that an impression occurs, so user visits a website, this ad is triggered, this option is triggered. Now, in a simulation environment, that's not really possible. So instead of bidding for each individual impression, there's a few other things that you set. So you set for every day, you set for which kind of audience, how much you want to bid. So you can say, I want to say for a certain type of audience, with this gender, this range, this age range, I want to bid this amount. And you can also give a total budget that you want to spend over the day, meaning that if the budget is exhausted, you will no longer bid anymore. Or you can also specify how many impressions you want to have reached. Once you reach those number of impressions of that specific target audience, you want to then stop bidding. Okay? So it's more that instead of saying you're going to bid for every single impression, you're going to bid for, you're actually giving that same kind of a bidding strategy. So say, if such a user would come in, how would you bid? And then, given that bidding strategy, that lasts for a whole day, and then the next day you can amend this bidding strategy. So again, this is slightly artificial because in reality, you can adjust your bid for every impression. Here you have kind of a constant bid for a certain type of user until you reach your budget or your impression limit, and then move to those to zero. Okay, so it gives you slightly less opportunity to do some interesting kind of bidding strategies. But still, it's complex enough, so I think having some simplification like that is probably not a bad idea. Okay. So I think that's what this kind of picture is trying to show. Okay. So similarly, we have bidding for contracts and user exchange services. The picture is not very informative, but so let's say so we have bidding for contracts. Okay. So every day, one contract is being auctioned off, and that's using a reverse auction. Okay, so what is a reverse auction? So remember last week we did the auction, and that was that's called a forward auction. So meaning the highest bidder wins. Okay, and they pay whatever the auction rule says. In a reverse auction, it's actually the lowest bidder wins. Okay, now when is that important? Now suppose that you are you're looking for a plumber, okay, to fix your drain or whatever, or your toilet block. You're looking for plumber to fix your toilet. Okay? You're going online and you're trying to find the cheapest plumber. And you say, okay, plumbers, you can bid against each other, and I'm going to get the cheapest one. Okay? So then it's actually not the highest bidder that wins, but the lowest bidder, because it's not, it's actually not the price they're paying, but the price you're paying. Okay? So you're paying for the plumber, okay? And therefore you want to pay the least amount possible. Okay, so that's called a reverse auction. Okay. And this is the case as well here. So you have ad networks, multiple ad networks. They are bidding for a contract, for one contract. Now obviously the advertisers want to pay the least possible and get the best possible service. So the ad network is saying, okay, I can do it for, maybe ad network 1 says, I can do it for £10. So this contract says I need to have 3,000 impressions of this particular time, okay, in 5 days time. Okay, that could be the contract to specify that. And then one ad network says, yes, I can do that for £5. And then another ad network says, oh, I can do it for £4. Okay, so obviously the one for £4 is better in a sense, because then the advertiser pays less. They only pay £4. And so the winning bid then determine kind of with the second price option. So how does the second price option work in the reverse setting? Okay, so So that's network 1, and network 1. Okay, and network 2, and then network 3. Right? So they give, I don't know, 4, 5, or 6 pounds. Okay. So the lowest bidder wins. Okay. And they receive, instead of having to pay, they receive the second high bid. So they receive 5 pounds. Okay. So the lowest bidder wins. And they get 5 pounds from the advertiser to complete this contract. Okay. So there's a contract here, in options off. Contract. Their network are bidding. The lowest bidder wins. And then they get the second lowest price, which means this is what they get to spend essentially. So this is the income of the ad network. So it's also called the budget. Okay. So the advertising budget will be 5 pounds. Okay. But obviously, if you can meet the contract and spend less than 5 pounds, you're going to make a profit. If you can also spend more than 5 pounds, then you're going to make a loss. So far so good. Okay. However, this is not the full story. Okay. As I said, this is quality. So there's quality. Let's say it's quality Q. So the lower bidder wins, but if you have a higher quality, you're also more likely to win as well. Okay? So this is say bid. Use B to denote the bid, and the quality can be say a number between 0 and 1. Okay? I believe it could be even higher than 1 actually. But say 1 is saying you always meet your contract. 0 is you never meet your contract over time. So it gets adjusted kind of reinforcement learning style. With every time you don't meet the contract, it goes a little bit down depending on how much you meet the contract. But if in fact if you have more impressions than what you said in the contract, your quality can actually go get above 1. So you can actually get more than 1. Okay. So as I said, so if you have a high quality, you're more likely to win. Okay. So what's actually the winner is determined by I think V1 divided by Q. Okay. So that means that so B divided by Q. So this is going to be, this is I think called the effective bid. Effective bid. Okay. So that means that if Q goes up, right, this effective bid goes down, okay, which means you're more likely to win. Because it's reversal. Yes. And you get your head round. If you know sponsor search, we also do sponsor search because sponsor search is the multiplication. Yeah. So the bidder who has the highest effective bid, or the lowest effective bid, wins. And what's that payment? Okay. The payment, or payment that they receive, the budget, the budget is better word for it. So their budget, okay, the budget, okay, it's not exactly the budget of the second lowest bidder, because that could result in actually lower budget if this one has a very low quality. But the budget is the highest bid that would still win win the auction. Okay. So if I increase my bid, what's my highest bid? That will still win the auction. Now suppose that I didn't have the quality, okay? If I didn't have the quality, then the highest bid that will still win the auction would be 5. Right? So without quality, the second highest, the second lowest bid is exactly the amount I could have bid in order to still win the auction. See what I mean? So now the budget is going to be, so suppose that Q1 is the winner. We need to find the highest bid, so this bid, such that it could still have won the auction, so meaning it's equal to, say, this is the second highest bid. Okay. So suppose this is the second lowest bid, or the second lowest effective bid. Okay. So we can compute what should be my bid, so that I would still be just about win the auction. So that means that my effective bid would have been equal to the second lowest effective bid. Okay. So then we can find it by this way, equal to P2 divided by Q2 times Q1. Okay. It's not that important, okay? You can figure out, it's given in the specifications as well. It's just that, the important thing here is that your bid, that the lowest bid wins. It's not, you get a budget that is at least as high as what you were bidding if you win. Okay. It could be higher. Usually it's going to be higher. And the other thing is that the quality that you're building over time affects both your winning probability, but also how much you get in the final budget. Okay. But it guarantees, this equation guarantees that the winner will always receive a budget equal to that bid or more. Okay. So you will never get less than you did. Okay. So even if this doesn't make much sense, that's the kind of the basic case. You have this quality. This is actually, if you look at sponsor search options, we haven't spoken about that because it would be, maybe if there's time, we can talk more about sponsor search options. But this is actually also what's going on in sponsor search. So these options are very realistic. Whether they are actually used in these specific settings to get contracts, that's a little bit artificial. So it's a little bit of a model. Yes.
Do the agents know their quality rating?
They know their own quality rating, yes.
Stop them from just adjusting the beta quality. I mean, if my quality rating is 45, I can adjust to be 5 and half.
Yes, that's true, but then you need to satisfy those contracts. Okay? To satisfy those contracts, you need to pay a lot of stuff. So you need to then bid in the user classification service, and you need to bid in the ad exchange to get those impressions. Right? So these contracts that maybe you need to get 2,000 impressions of certain audience, right? Maybe getting those 2,000 impressions in this ad exchange, from experience, you know that it costs you at least 3 pounds. It depends on how other people are bidding in the ad exchange. Okay? So you're going to suffer costs of 3 pounds just to satisfy that contract. Right? So therefore, it's no good for you to bid less than 3 pounds because you're going to make a loss. Yes.
What's the order of bidding on the auction? So is the ADEX and USD first, and then you go to the contract for a little simple?
Yeah, so first this one is first the contract auction.
Okay.
And the user classification service. So you know exactly which campaigns you have, okay? And what your current quality rating is, I guess, as well, and whether you want the user classification service, okay, and at what level as well, and I'll talk about that as well in a bit. And so that informs how much you're going to bid in the exchange. Yeah. So it is true that you know the outcome of this, but you need to anticipate, right? You need to get this contract. Once you see, oh, this contract is being auctioned off, you need to start estimating. How much is it going to cost me to satisfy the contract? Because I have to bid in this UCS, I have to bid in this at exchange. So you need to get a good estimate. And unfortunately, you don't know for sure because it depends on what other people are bidding, right? So we are in a game theoretic situation in a sense, right? So because user classification service, everyone's bidding for the user classification service, and everyone's bidding in the ad exchange, and so it depends on who else has which other contract. By the way, there's a slight thing that I forgot to mention. So I said that when you win the contract, the lowest bidder, effective bid wins, right? There's a few more aspects that are actually relevant. There's also some minimum and maximum prices, minimum and maximum effective bid. So you don't bid too much, or you don't bid too little. So you have to this bid has to be within certain bounds. And there's another aspect is that with a certain probability, the contract is actually awarded randomly between ad networks, independent of their bid. And in that case, the budget is equal to their bid. Okay. So I think that probability is perhaps 36% probability. There's 36% likelihood that the contract is awarded randomly rather than through the auction. And that is kind of counter the fact that, once you're in a bad situation, you never recover from it. So there is a 36% chance every day that you still can win the auction as long as your bid or your effective bid were within the bounds. Okay? So you can still win. But it also means that there's a 36% chance that this is going to be, instead of a second price reverse auction, it's going to be a first price reverse auction. Because you're going to then bid your the price you pay or the budget you get is equal to the budget that you say that you could do it for. So instead of getting a high budget, you actually get the budget that you propose. So that's another complication. So there's a lot of these kind of nasty little details. That some of them are important, others you can probably ignore. Yes.
So on day one, there's one contract. A person goes away and wins it. On the UCS and the ADX market, there's no other players, so you automatically win it with the lowest bid.
Well, on day one, everyone gets a contract by default.
Okay.
So actually on day zero, everyone gets one contract. So there's automatically going to be competition. Yeah, good question. Yeah. Okay. Right. So now the option for the user classification service. Okay. There's going to be, it's a multi-item option. Not a single item, but a multi-item option. So it's not just one winner, but there can be multiple winners on this. Okay, user classification service. However, the different winners will get a different quality of service. Okay. So the highest winner will get a perfect service, meaning that if a user goes to the website, you will get 100% certainty about who that user is, who that user belongs to, which type of audience that user belongs to. If you win the second slot, say, if you're the second highest bidder, in a sense, then you get a service that 90% of the cases, okay, so 90%, 0.9 times, you receive correct information about the target audience, and 10% of the time is incorrect or is actually random, or in fact you don't know anything about the target audience. Okay. So the highest slot gets 100%. So if you are the highest bidder, you get a 100% classification service. The second highest bidder gets 0.9 classification service, and then it goes 0.9 squared, 0.9 to the power 3, 0.9 to the power 4, etc. Okay, and this is then the probability that a user is correctly classified. So that's what the user classification service is. So it's not that if you lose a user classification service that you don't get anything. You might win a less quality user classification service of a lower quality. So a lot of the strategies. Do you have a question?
Yeah. Are you aware of which quality level you got?
Yeah. In fact, I think, I have to check that, but you have to check that, but I think you might even know, so you're going to bid for the user classification service, which goes into effect the next day. So I think when you are bidding for the contract, I think you already know what your user classification is going to be. So when you bid for the contract, you know the user classification. I believe, almost certain. Okay, I need to check that. Okay? So I believe also the option is that the highest bidder, pays the price of the next highest bidder. Okay? The next highest bidder pays the price of the one below that, etc. So this is sometimes called the next price option. Okay? Where the highest bidder wins, and they pay the price of the next highest bidder. The next highest bidder wins, etc., etc. Okay? So it's a bit inspired by the second price option.
What did the last person pay? Did they get anything?
Let me see. Anything there? I think there might be a minimum price. It could be reserved, but I need to check that. So all these things, all these kind of details, I don't know all of them, but they're all in the specification. Okay. So these are the two main options, and then there's the impression option as well, which is a little bit, which is also not trivial.
Yeah, so I understand it's a closed box auction, but at the end, when the winner's revealed, how much do you just find out who won it and what set to bid, or do you get a list of all the bids that everyone made, or how does it work?
Good question. So with the contract option, you only know if you were the winner, and you know what the second highest, the second lowest effective bid was, because that's what you're paying. Okay? But you don't know who that was. If it's randomly allocated, then you don't know anything about other people's bids. If you lost the auction, you don't learn anything. You don't know who won and how much they paid. With the user classification service, I guess it's similar, I think. So you only know, obviously, whether you won and what the next highest bid was, because that's what you pay. So you don't learn much about other people. But you know, obviously, that what contract is being auctioned off, so you know someone about that contract, right? So you know that that person is going to bid on at a certain kind of audience, like if you lost it. So you know what size audience they are going to be interested in. So you can kind of figure out what the competition is going to be when you got with the ad exchange. Okay, so these things do interrelate with each other. So even if you lost the contract, you can take some information from that contract that was auctioned off. Whether you want to go that route, it gets a bit complicated. But you can keep the strategy very simple, or you can make it very complex. Kind of up to you. Sometimes simple works, sometimes complex. Not always. Okay. So it is obviously quite overwhelming, I'm sure, for a lot of you. But you need to go through the specification, and we'll have surgeries. We'll go through the rules again. If there's any questions, we'll do that. If you want to meet up with me personally as a group, just send me an email. We can make an appointment. It's not a problem. So, okay. So this is kind of the cycle, how it looks through the day. So there's going to be 60 simulated days, and then that's one game, and every agent will play multiple games against other agents. So every game has 8 agents playing against each other, 8 and network, always, that's fixed. Okay. And obviously we'll probably play around, we'll play the whole day, on the actual final competition day. There'll be a lot of games played anyway. So you will have maybe 8 games played against different other agents, combination of agents. Okay. And then your score is then the average score you have within those 8 games. Okay, so this is a little bit of detail about the order of things. So you get certain reports, notifications, etc., etc. So you can read about that in more detail. It's actually good. Okay, so this is a little bit about the users. So these are different kind of target users. So they can be the income of the user, the gender, the age, and the kind of website. Oh yeah. Remember there was this thing about the quality. Keep going on about with the paragraph here. No. Okay, I'll skip that for now. Okay. Yeah, I won't go into that. So there's at the end of the specifications, I can show you. So here the ADAC specifications. Okay. So if you go all the way to the, so it gives you all this overview. If you go all the way to the end, okay, it gives you an overview of all the game parameters. So in the competition, we'll use the standard game parameters that have been used in the main competition. So it tells you a lot of the different things, such as the type of the population that's going to show up at a particular website. So there's certain probabilities that certain users are going to appear. So there's this probability table. So these are probabilities times 1,000. Okay. There's a certain user with a certain age appears. Obviously they add up to more than 100 because you have different factors. But yeah, any particular type of user, gender, income has certain probability appearing. Yeah. Okay. So you can look it up, kind of look up table. Yeah.
The distribution of income there, is that like Gaussian, uniform?
No, it's uniform. Yeah, all these probabilities are uniform. So these are probabilities. So the probability that someone of this age group who is a male and has this income is comes is 0.53%, 53%.
And then like, say you have 2 girls from that age range.
Oh, okay. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. So this is income between 0 and 30 is taken as one kind of chunk. Yeah. Okay. So it's so the target audience that is specified in the contract will be a user with income 0 to 30, not a user with income 20, right? So the range is given in the contract as well, and these ranges correspond to the ranges here. Okay. So yeah, not to make it too difficult. So the contract and the users coming in are the same kind of range. Okay, so that's the table. There's also I'll show you the code soon, where I think you can. There's actually I think you can look up these kind of probabilities. I think there's a table. There's a kind of early program for you to use to look parameters, such as the user continuation probability means that if they don't see what they like in one ad, so they go to one ad and they then maybe go to another website, I think. They might go to another website, so they generate one user can generate multiple impressions. I think that's about user continuation probability. The things about the reserve prices, so which is the minimum, which determine what the minimum and maximum bids should be, or effective bids should be for the contract. These are these kind of values here. Yeah.
So what happens if you violate some of these? Let's say your bid doesn't
fall within that range, then you just lose the option. That's all. But it's, you have to look up in the specification how this is actually used, because it's not so trivial. So the game length is set to 60 days, as I've already said. Real-time seconds per simulated day. So the simulated day is actually 10 seconds. So the game is 600 seconds. Yes, every game is exactly 10 minutes. Yeah. So I guess we can play a lot of games every day. So on that day, this one game takes 10 minutes. Yeah. So that, well, I'm not going to go through all these tasks. Okay. So shall we have a little break now? 10 minutes. Okay. So we'll be back at 10 o'clock. And I'll go through the code of the agent that is applied. So there's several agents applied with the competition. So we'll go through that a little.
我上课好困，
完全没听懂。
你听懂了吗？没听懂。你应该睡着了吧？睡着了。
睡着了。
我这次打考的。我昨天看了前天看了节奏考。他记得，我操，那屏幕要换了。
没有，我那模式里边还行。
我要到后面了，坐这边可以吗？可以啊，后面都有人。可以吗？
可以，外边外边没有。坐我包呢。你在后边不睡觉吗？咱们3个人了，可以加我一个，
可以4个吗？
可以打。我邮件上面写的。行，你听懂了吗？啊，那比咱还强。行，差。哎，你们的名字是什么？你现在给的是你开邮件？不，你是现在给的是吗？还是你开邮件？他有就那在线那个是吧？
车子有
题目记你赶紧填。题目下面小都是小写。team下划线 D A B C D 的都是小写。这还不算作业吗？
他刚说是作业吗？
不是就是要做这个吗？回头。
就是说做那个新加系统。
啊，那个是最终大分。
对啊，
这就是一部分。
我知道去年那个学长跟我说是最难的。
每年都是一样的。
这是写代码还是？
我不知道，反正是很难很难。
来。
让他发起来修电脑。啥？干嘛去？你们干嘛去？
抽烟。
No, you know that I'm going to go anyway. No, is anybody going? Or does anybody want to go? Well, it's not whether obviously, it's not the kind of thing any of them would recommend.
Well, these are the. Everyone gave a name. Okay.
Oh no, it's
Slide. Okay. Okay. Yes, I know, but what is your name? So I can look up. And then when you hear the thing, you know that all that. And then
I was going to say, the two things we need to do is reply to the email, and I was going to say, let's sit down and try and...
No, you can record it.
Yeah.
You can not see anyone wants.
Yeah, so you know I'm not here when to You could give Carol a Yeah, we haven't responded to it. So if we respond to that and then plan, without being too short. I don't think the graphics are necessary, but it's like it's not then we're going to be. I just present the lot of Will sending that message make you feel better? Probably would. When we're working with something, none of us are going to go and we need to organise somebody to go to it. Because it's something that she would never want to go with. If she assumes that nobody else would consider going with it.
啊，不是上面这啥玩意儿？啊，这你的对吧？嗯。我感觉我录了完了也没时间去看。哎，那你今天晚上看完之后，你可以弄懂了呀？没看，基本上弄了那个看不来，对。那线找到了吗？那线好不好了吗？你们一会儿还有课吗
？1点主课。
我回去睡一觉。这不是你们主课，而且你选这个。
对啊，这是你主课。
你为什么选这门课？
我听说你在这儿，我就帮你看。
我操！
就指着你。
搞得我。
你压力不要太大。不是，主要是指着你。
考试都指着你了。
主要指着你报学长。
他说对。好嘞。
他认识学长。
他说这边能抱大腿，我也报了这个。
说他说认识学长，那我回头。
学长在哪？
他认识学长，你已经上完这课了。去年上，说那个。
他是我老乡，同一个城市，同一个区，同一个高中，去同一个专业，学的同一个，对，学的同一个。
说他可以来咱们这个怎么回事？
学长马要走了。在哪儿呢？学长？12月份要走。
看1月1月。
1月1月。我操，你们在这后面干嘛？
So you go to the GitHub, and you can just download the whole panel. That's sometimes I find it useful to have this source code, so I can look up things, classes that I use easily. You probably don't need it if you don't want it. But so that's the whole source code of the whole thing. You look exactly how everything is programmed if you want every single option, how to use the program. So you don't have to go into that detail because there's a Java class provided that's called the sample network agent, I believe. So if you go or simple add network or sample add network with different terms there. So there's a Java class there that implements already an agent. Okay. A simple agent, and the only thing that you basically need to do is modify that existing Java class. Okay, so you don't have to start from scratch. And so a lot of the methods that you need to get all the campaign data, to handle all kinds of events that are coming in, are all implemented already. So you just need to modify the various bidding strategies. So the simple add network will just pick randomly in most of the options. Okay. And so you need to just modify how much to bid in each of those 3 different options that are there. So it sounds simple, but it's perhaps not so simple. So if you look at the code here, so this is simple as network. I think it's saying a sample as network. That confused me a bit. There's a class called simple as network, and there's a class called sample as network. But I think they are identical. Okay. Right, so there's lots of Java stuff here, so the things to handle messages. So how it works is this is a kind of server-client connection. So this is on the client side, so you connect to the server, and then the server, when there's a new event, it triggers some sort of method within your class. So for example, there's an event that sets to one which option, for which price, or an event that asks you to submit your bidding strategy for the ad exchange, etc., etc. So those methods are then triggered, and then you need to execute your code when that's done. So it's kind of a real-time, asynchronous kind of aspect. Okay. So you don't have to know all the details. But there's various methods that might be useful. So here is, for example, handle the initial campaign message. So here's where you can, here's with day 0, you get allocated a campaign already. So you start off with having a campaign, so having contracts already. So these campaigns are these contracts that you win from the advertiser. So you can look at what those campaign is, and so yeah, you have to look at the details. So that you can also, that's why it's handy to have the source. You can see what kind of information is in these initial campaign in these various methods. So you have to go into more detail. Here's a let me look at what is the main one. Okay. Okay. So here's, for example, handle ad network daily notifications. So here you can see. So here is what you. Again. Okay. Okay, so this is the main one. So here, send bids and ads. Okay, so this is for bidding in the ad exchange. Okay, so this method is called. Maybe this is one. I was looking at this one before. I'm sure this is confused. So here, for example, you need to bid for the determined how much to bid. So as I said, so the exchange, you bid like a random number between 0 and 10, and then it will for various campaigns, it will then set the bidding strategy. So you will various campaigns. So this is the current campaign. You can look up, for example, when the campaign starts and when it ends, and how many impressions you, for example, still need to satisfy on this campaign. Okay. So that's maybe that's satisfied in contract, and depends on how many impressions you already have satisfied for that campaign and how many are left over. And then you can go through, for each campaign that has a certain kind of target audience. So these are the kind of queries, and these are the specific things about the various things that are specified in the campaign. For example, you can set the bid depending on whether it's a PC or a mobile phone, for example. So, yes, these are some of the complications I haven't discussed with you yet because these are quite detailed. So, if you have, so there's different, the users can access the website using different means. So they can access the website with a PC, or they can access the website with a mobile phone. And an impression on a mobile phone counts as more impressions than an impression on a PC. So impression on a mobile phone is more valuable than one on the PC. So there's different factors between them. So you get more reward for that. So you can bid different amounts if the ad type is, say, on a PC, or if it's something else. Okay, so you have to look at the details what these things are. And then the bid bundle is saying, okay, for specific user type, I'm going to bid a certain amount. So the query here is the user type, and we can say, well, I'm going to bid for a specific user target audience this specific amount. So the language used here is slightly confusing because it's actually based on a different competition that was more about sponsored search rather than ad exchange. So query here refers to things from sponsored search, so that can be slightly confusing here. That's why it's called query, and not the kind of, say, target audience or something like that. And there's also this thing here, new ad null, which just has to be added here because the code is actually borrowed from another competition. So you can set for each kind of target audience, how much you're going to bid. Okay, so that for loop does that, for example. And then you can say how many, for a certain campaign, what the maximum number of impressions is that you want to achieve for that day. And so that means that the bid goes to zero once you've reached that number of impressions of for that particular campaign. And you can also set a budget limit for a specific campaign. So meaning that if you've spent more than a certain amount already on that campaign, then you're going to stop bidding as well. And so you can set those things in this way. So let me give you the message just with the so once say the kind of the ad exchange has run, then you can see what the results are of the campaign. So it will show you how many impressions you've won and things like that. So you can get all kinds of information about the campaign as well. So that's a small method here. But the method that I want to find is also the one where you bid for the UCS option and for the campaigns themselves. Yeah, so I don't remember exactly what the method name was. Because it's not those two at the same time. I found it the other day, but okay. I think this is the one here. Okay. So this is handle campaign opportunity message. So that's why every day one campaign is auctioned off, and so you need to bid all of them for that campaign. So that's called campaign opportunity. Okay. And so again, so there's a lot of information about this campaign. So this campaign is this column. I guess you don't have to really look into too much detail because it gives you an example. So reach impressions. So this is the number of impressions that campaign will require you to get. Okay, if you win that campaign, campaign total budget bid is then set to a certain amount. Okay, so this is the bid per 1,000. So if that campaign bid milli refers to milli, Italian, Latin name, 1,000. So that means that it bid per 1,000 impressions. Okay, so it's usually, I think, in whole pounds. Okay, so you're bidding per 1,000 impressions, not for a single impression. Okay, so this is the total campaign bid. And then at the same time, you need to bid for the UCS level. So that's the UCS bid here. Again, it's kind of the dummy, or the sample agent was just a random bid message here. And then initial UCS bid is here. And then it's just sends these kind of connections. Okay, so the campaign bid you can make. So it's not that you I believe you don't actually bid for a whole amount, but your bid is actually for how many, what's your bid for getting 1,000 impressions, essentially. So that's what you're bidding for. Okay. So here you get the notification of the user classification service, so whether you won the auction. Actually, you can actually see who was the winner in this case. Okay. Interesting. But that's okay. No, but you don't get That's strange, because it was in the spec, it didn't see who was the winner, but I have to guess. Right. Okay, so if you won the auction, it tells you what you won, what your cost was, and the user specification service as well. So anyway, so this is just to show you that all of this is implemented for you already, so you need to modify those various methods. And what you do is you have the run agent kind of the batch file that I already ran, the shell file that I ran last time. But you can actually run the whole thing within Eclipse if you want to. You don't have to use the command line. You can run things within Eclipse as well, if you know, or within any other kind of IDE, as long as you set you call the right kind of class here for the simulator. And there's configuration file as well, where you can set where your agent is going to, which class your agent is located in. Okay, so for example, I've made a package called my agent, and I've made my own kind of agent called simple and network 2. And so you have to tell the server, well, the execution essentially which class your agent is. And here is when you're going to compete in the actual competition, you need to change this agent name to your agent name. So the agent name that you gave on the Google form, this is the agent name that should appear here on the file here, and then you will have created your own password as well. So we'll do that actually in a few weeks' time. We'll run it kind of in fast. Maybe actually we'll go to the labs, might be a bit easier, and we'll just run a trial to see if it all works. And then the first thing you need to do is you need to register your agent on the server. And so then, once it's registered, then you can actually connect to the server. So if there's only one agent, it will automatically kind of register, so it already works without registering as well. But if you have multiple agents, they all need to be kind of registered. So this is kind of a very quick overview. So anything about it. So you need to kind of, the main thing you need to go to, so there's the file, the AdX-agent and the AdX server that you will find on the website. Okay, so there's the AdX server and AdX-agent, as I showed you last time. So the AdX-agent contains this sample engine, which you can then start to modify, and you need to read the instructions of how you run it. So it will say that you need to kind of, once you've created the Java code, you then need to kind of compile or create a binary of the Java, and then it will tell you to put it in a jar file. You don't have to do all of that, so you can just run it within Eclipse, but you have to kind of modify the class path and things like that. I guess, maybe I should go to detail, maybe more detail. So, let's show you the documents. So, you download, say, the agent here. So you have the run agent as I had last time, run faster, and simple add network here. But you will need to change the configuration file. So at the moment, it's pointing to the moment this configuration file is pointing to this class here, so the sample and network, which is within the, you can find that if you download all source code. So you have to change the class file and or the class here to wherever your agent is. So for example, my agent dot agent or something like that. Okay. And so once you have that, so once you change the configuration, then you have here the source code. So you can edit it with any IDE obviously. So you modify that, you put it in a specific class path, then you have to generate the binary. So here, I put it, for example, in my package, my agent. You generate a binary and then you kind of have to make it into the jar file, or you can execute it within kind of an Eclipse environment. Well, you'll have to play around with it, I guess. I'm not sure. You'll figure it out more than I can know. Yeah, and this one we use it, so probably I should call it. So if there's any questions, so we'll let me know. And yeah, you'll have to play around with the environment. There are instructions given, so there's also a README file here. So which tells you what to do. Okay. So run the agent. You need to create a Java class implementation, and then create a Java file here to run generate Java file. Okay. And you set that in the list. So just you can just follow step by step. It's just that what I'm trying to say is that there are also other ways of doing it if you feel more comfortable already. If you're using say an Eclipse environment and you've already used Java before, you can just download, put this in. You don't have to generate the Java file every time. So yeah, you don't have to do it, but you can just follow those instructions if that's easier for you. Okay. Right. So there'll be more questions later, but what I want to discuss next is just move on from this competition for a bit. But before I do that, are there any questions around? Yes.
If we post in questions, could you update the student wiki with the question and answer, please?
Sure. So if you're posting it on the wiki.
Yeah, or could you email it to you?
Yeah. So I can. Yeah. Best if you email it to me, and then I can put it on the student wiki. Yeah. Good idea. So yeah, that's probably the easiest because the next few weeks Maria will kind of take over again, but we'll have a trial surgery a bit later on. So, yep.
So at some point you said this will be running on the ECS
server. Yeah, there will be a virtual machine called Tactical ECS. They'll talk about AC-2K, and I'll send out the instructions once I've got it running again. So I'll be running a server continuously, so you can connect to it. Okay. So to connect to the server again, there are instructions given, but so you need to change the config file again.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, let's say stuff like, I remember last time when we closed the sample of the server, you could see all the graphs.
Yeah.
Would we have access to that?
In theory, yes. The problem is Java, it's a viewer in Java, written in Java, and nowadays with the new version of Java, the security is so high that it actually blocks that viewer because it doesn't have a certificate. So in principle, yes, but if you need an old version of Java, you have to see it because the latest versions of Java have too much security because people have a lot of security issues, and now they've blocked it so much that you can't do anything anymore in Java. If you have like a web viewer, Java. So I'll need to try and understand whether I can get it running properly. But if you have like an old version of Java, then it should work. Or maybe a Linux it might work. But I think on the latest version, Java on Windows it won't work anymore. So yeah. Okay, but yeah, we'll try and get that sorted. But as I said, you can run it locally, obviously. You can run the server locally on your machine. You can run the agent locally on your time I have left, I have some other slides ready, prepared. I'm not sure I will have time to cover it all. Okay. So what I want to discuss, and we'll have to probably move it to another, or complete it with another, let's keep the start already, is going beyond the simple case. So we've already seen with the AVAX competition that sometimes you have not just a simple setting where you have a single item being sold, there's sometimes multiple items being sold. So we have seen, for example, the contract option is a single item option because there's a single contract being sold. But already with the user classification service, there are actually multiple items being sold, and these items are not even actually identical to each other. Right? So the top item, if you will call it an item, it's not a physical item yet, but you can still treat it as an item, has the highest quality, is the best thing, and then the next item is not as good, etc. You can see the same thing when you have sponsor search options, where you have these the results of these of Google search. You get the options. Actually, there's also an option result alongside the OBS. And you see that the top slot is actually much more valuable than the next slot because people tend to focus their eyes on the top slot. But it's not just in advertising. In many cases, in real life, there's options being run that are very complex and that involve multiple items, different kind of items, and sometimes they're auctioned off at the same time, sometimes sequentially. For example, if you look at eBay, there's many items being auctioned off, and they auction off maybe in a kind of sequential session, so each item has a different paradigm. So this is really about looking beyond the simple case. So we looked so far at single item auctions, but we also made certain assumptions as well. For example, we assumed bidders were rational. So in some cases it's more important than in other cases. For example, when we want to analyze first price field bid auctions, this rationality assumption is more important than the second price field bid auctions, right? Because in the first price field bid auction, it really matters what other agents are doing, right? So your strategy depends on other agents' strategy. Whereas in the second price auction, maybe the other agents are not rational, but actually it doesn't really matter. So you have a dominant strategy to get through to them. Okay. However, also in the second price auction, we have this concept called independent private values, which means that you have a value. So remember the tweaks, right? So you have a value in mind of how much you're willing to pay for it, and that value is independent of what other people think it's worth. Okay? So that's different from the bid itself. So it might be what manipulate the bid, but this utility function is kind of fixed and independent of what other people think, and that's not always the case. And we also assumed there was no collusion amongst the bidders, so that you guys weren't colluding to get maybe the best deal. So how can we address those kind of things is in when we consider the literature. So what I wanted to discuss was these kind of things: common values, collusion, multiple items, and double options, and we'll see how far we get. Okay, so how can we auction off multiple items? So the double option is another setting where we have both multiple buyers and multiple sellers. Okay. So we looked at the forward option where we have multiple buyers and one seller. The reverse option is when we have, which is this one here, when we have one seller, which is the contract option, and multiple buyers. Okay, so that's the reverse setting. And then we have the double option setting, where we have both multiple buyers and multiple sellers. So you can think of the financial markets, the stock exchanges. These are these kind of options. We have people buying stock, people selling stock. Okay, so common value items. So in contrast to the independent private value setting, in setting with common value, no one really knows what the value of the item is. Okay, so even in the actually the ad option, it's very hard to understand how much is an impression worth to me exactly. Okay, so it's difficult to calculate. But in the real life, often people don't know what something's worth. So that you want to buy, or you're thinking might be interesting. And this desert land is worthless if there's no oil in it, and it's worth billions if there's oil in it. Okay? So the question is, what's the value of that kind of piece of desert? Okay? So you're not sure, there's uncertainty there. Now, maybe you have some information about the quality of that land, whether there's oil, because you can do some sort of drills. You know, you can do sample drills to try and find out if there's oil. And maybe other people have also done some sort of drills. Or maybe you're someone who didn't do any of those drills, so you have less information about it. But those drills are not even foolproof. So you don't even know how much oil is in the land, even if you know there's some land. So there's uncertainty about what the true value is of the product that's being sold, and everyone has some information about it, but no one knows for sure. And another famous example is when the mobile phone auctions for the 3G connectivity started as well. So we all have now mobile phones. Nowadays it's 4G connectivity, right? So there's a digital spectrum. So the signal, the data signal is sent over some sort of radio frequency spectrum, and different companies own different parts of this spectrum, okay, for a certain number of years. So when 3G first came out, they were selling off this spectrum, so a certain frequency range where you could send the data to different companies through an auction. But no one knew how much actually that spectrum was going to be worth, because the 3G technology hadn't been fully developed yet, and you don't know how much can you charge. Once you have those phones in place, the contract, how much can you charge for those contracts, how much are people willing to pay. So there's a lot of uncertainty about the value of the spectrum auction. And in fact, there were a number of companies that almost went bankrupt because they paid too much for this spectrum auction, and they didn't get the value out of it that they thought they might get out. So that's called the winner's curse. Okay. So more formally, so in this common value item, you still have a kind of private type that gives you kind of information about what the value might be, but no one knows for sure. And my utility not only depends on the information that I have about the item, but also the information that other people might have about the item. So again, with the spectrum option, other people might have done some customer marketing research to understand how much these are worth. So when we have the interdependent value options, each agent has a different value, but these values are interdependent. So my value, in some way, depends also on other people's values as well. So my value depends not only on the information that I have, but essentially also might be, if I knew the information of the other agent, that could influence my value as well. So that's called the interdependent value model. So I already went through this, so this oil drilling, right? So that's the example I gave, and another example is the 3G spectrum license that I gave, but also procurement of large projects. Okay? And interestingly, in the competition, we see the same thing. So we have the procurement, which is actually a reverse auction. So suppose you want to build a new building. University of Southampton is building several new buildings, and you go to several builders. They give you quotations, and it's a reverse auction, right? So you are going to accept perhaps the lowest quotation, and you might also take into consideration some sort of quality as well. So not so different from the contract auction that we've seen. But for the builders, it's very difficult to estimate how much this building is going to cost. So yes, they've done lots of buildings in the past, but there's also always going to be some uncertainties. So maybe the foundations are no good, so they have to rip up the foundations and start again. And so there's a lot of risks involved and unexpected costs. So this kind of procurement of large projects, but also in your kind of contract options, you know, if you don't know actually exactly how much this certain contract is, how much it will cost you to satisfy this contract, right? It depends on many factors. And so you might make some sort of estimate, but you might be wrong actually. Now, if you have an option where the lowest bidder wins, for example, right? So you are saying, oh, I can do this building for 2 million, right? Usually the person, so there's always a chance that anyone will underestimate or overestimate the cost, right? But the winner is most likely to be the one who underestimates the cost, because they are the ones who won the auction. So by just probabilistic, inference, they're probably good. There could be that they won the auction because they had a wrong estimate of the true cost. So that's called the winner's curse, essentially. That the winner is the one who's paying the wrong price, essentially. So in reverse auction, it's paid, getting not enough for what the service that they're providing, or in a forward auction, if they're paying too much. So another example is items purchased with the intention to resell. So if you're buying a painting, for example, that you're buying as an investment, or you're buying a house that you're buying as an investment, again, if you are the winner in the auction, means that you are the one that actually pays more, will pay more than anyone else. And so that means that if you have the intention to resell later, you might have actually now already paid too much, because you are bidding more than anyone else was prepared to pay for it. So you're bidding perhaps above the market value of this item. And so you have to kind of take into consideration the fact that you might be suffering from the winner's curse. If you win the auction, means you're the one who paid too much. So if in forward options, if you overestimated the actual value, or in the reverse options where you actually underestimated the costs involved, those are the situations where those people are most likely to win, and those winners will perhaps either go bankrupt, or they won't get their money back, because they are the ones who made the wrong estimate. And that's obviously when you have a private value option, where you have a value and you don't care about what the true value is, so you have a personal private value for this item, then that's fine, right? There's no winner's curse. But when there's uncertainty about this value, and it depends on what information you have, other people might have different information about this value, which is exactly the situation where you have the winner's curse. Okay, so how do you kind of avoid that? So you have to kind of, if you are looking at it from a game theoretic perspective, you have to take into consideration that you might have wrong information. So you have to reason about the information that you have, and the fact that other people might have other information, and the fact that therefore you kind of have to counter that by bidding maybe less than you were initially planning to bid. So you can kind of counter it by realizing that you don't know everything, and taking into consideration this uncertainty, and essentially shading your bid, and not shading what essentially your true value would be. So the interesting thing here is that now the victory and the English option may not be no longer equivalent. So we said that the victory option and the English option were exactly the same, in the sense that in both cases we ended up with the same kind of second highest price as the winner, as the winning price, and the highest bidder winning. Right? So the strategies in the victory and the English option were also both have a dominant strategy to bid your true value, while in the English option is to bid up to your true value, and in the victory option is just simply to bid your true value. So both of them have dominant strategies. And with the independent private value model, yes, they were equivalent. But what happens now why are they not equivalent anymore in the interdependent? Any ideas? what do you learn? Do you learn anything in the auction, right? So in the victory auctions, it's a field bid auction. So you don't learn anything about other bidders in the auction. Whereas with the interdependent value means that other people might have different information from you, and my value, or the actual value of the item, might depend on the information that other people have. So if you see people bidding in the auction, in a live auction, and you see people bidding, and you know that they have information that you don't have, so that could influence your bidding strategy. So if you are, so suppose you're bidding at a painting auction or something like that, and you see that there's the expert there, sitting there, and they are going to bid higher and higher, then you might think, oh, they are bidding higher, so it must be worth more than I think it's worth. So in a sense, because of the independence, so your value, or the true value depends on the information that's shared among the people in the audience. So you learn a little bit about what other people's willingness to pay, and that can inform also your bidding value as well. Yeah.
How do you draw the line between this and behavior action?
There's not much rationality, it's just that the value is really unknown. So you don't know what value is, and so in the sense that if you observe other people's willingness to pay, in a sense, that could inform in a Bayesian sense, what the true value is of the item. So there's uncertainty about value. You observe certain signals from the audience.
But then they might see you as a signal, just like the feedback from the friend that was called.
Yeah,
No, not true, but it seems like
you have to make, if you analyze theoretically, you have to make kind of certain assumptions, I guess, but so you could just, everyone could just think, well, you have to take into consideration that other people will observe your signal, so you might actually be strategic about bidding because other people observe your signal. So there is, the interaction gets very complex. So if you are rational, you don't also want to give away anything, right? So if you're rational, you might want to sit still at the auction, the English auction, until no one else bids, and then you start bidding, for example. Right? So there's all kinds of bidding behavior that because there's a signaling going on, and you don't want to give away the information that you have. So there's a bit of hiding going on, and if you're completely rational, you have to take into consideration that other people are trying to hide and manipulate it. So you get it's very, very complex analysis of these kind of yeah.
Isn't it just a lemon and peach conundrum then? Because if you're the seller and you necessarily know the information, you've got the most information. If it's a lemon, you go closed auction, and if it's a peach, you go open, so people will know it's good and raise up the bar just close.
Yeah.
People will misinform it and bid high.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, if you have asymmetric information, so you have you call lemon and peach, other people call lemon and cherry. But so then indeed, if you have the seller that knows the information and the buyer don't, then you might want to change the format based on that information. But then again, if you have rational bidders, then if they know that, then they see the seller's decision that they chose the victory option versus and if you're completely rational, you understand that it must be a lemon, it's the victory option. So then you can anticipate that, and then you say, okay, then I'm not going to bid, or I'm going to bid lower than the victory option. So there can be different levels of kind of, reasoning, I guess. So then we can say which one is maybe more likely to make more revenue. Does revenue equivalent still hold? Well, which one is more likely to make more revenue? Depends really on the situation. You can't say one is making more revenue than the other. But if you have a choice, probably the English option, as you say, if you have maybe each, if you have a valuable item that you know is high quality, and then maybe the English option you make more revenue. But the main thing is that the revenue equivalent does no longer hold. Because that only holds in the independent price value model, but not once we get interdependent. So that's the key here. Okay, so I probably won't have time to go through the rest, so we'll keep that until a bit later when the next opportunity to discuss. So any questions so far? Okay, so have a look at the notifications. Do start with your course work as soon as possible. If you have any questions, let me know and I'll update you weekly. And to make sure that you finish the Google form, because for most companies,
你学长什么时间？12月。还有时间。
我这段时间先把我其他东西搞好。
然后大力搞这个。
对，我其他东西我又不懂，你一直拖着。我也需要别人。全是跟。